Good morning. So, we will be proceeding with our next session. Coming to the second part of principles of instrumentation. Second part, instrument stabilization. So, the first order lever shows that the load and the effort with the help of a fulcrum can be easily regulated to do a function of the work. When stability becomes a habit, maturity and clarity follows. So, stability is the main part for instrument stabilization. Stability of the instrument and the hand is the primary requisite for controlled instrumentation. Stability and control is essential for effective instrumentation and to avoid injury to the patient or clinician. The two factors are which provide stability are instrument grasp and finger rest. Coming to the instrument grasp. So here in the picture you can see what is a grasp called. So grasp is something which we hold something very firmly. So a proper grasp is essential for precise control of movements made during periodontal instrumentation. The most effectiveness and the stable grasp for all periodontal instrumentation is the modified pen grasp. This grasp allows precise control of the working end and permits a wide range of movement and facilitates good tactile conductions. Both palm and thumb grasp is useful for stabilizing instruments during sharpening and for manipulating air and water syringes. Coming to the pen grasp and modified pen grasp. So here you can see what is a pen grasp. In a pen grasp, the instrument is held like a pen, and in a modified pen grasp, the same instrument is held in a pen grasp but with a modified function of your fingers. So in a long fingernail grasp, you can see that the nail is pinching your gingiva and long nail interferes with the grasp. So in a pen grasp or a modified pen grasp, just hold like a pen. It stands straight and tall. Ring finger is advanced ahead of the other fingers in the grasp. Ring finger is held straight to act as a support beam for hand, and fingernail length must not impede ability to keep ring finger upright. In a modified pen grasp, you can see that the finger placement shows here facilitates precise control during periodontal instrumentation. This grasp with tips of finger pad contacting the handle enables the clinician to roll the instrument handle between the fingers in a controlled manner. The handle roll is used to position the working end against the tooth surface in a precise manner. So in a convex finger shape, you can see the index finger and the thumb should be in a knuckled up position. As you can see in the pictures with the green arrows, that it should be your thumb and the index finger should be knuckled up. It should place upright. And the finger pads contact the handle to allow precise control of the instrument. So basically, coming with the modified pen grasp and the pen grasp, you can come here for notice that the main role for the instrumentation for the modified pen grasp and the pen grasp is for your better control and instrumentation. So you can see in this picture that the pen grasp is just hold like a pen, and in the modified pen grasp you can see the ring finger and the index finger pads are kept together. So coming to the correct finger placement, whenever you hold an instrument, what is the correct finger placement? The thumb and the index finger, the finger pad rest opposite to each other or near the junction of the handle and the shank, as you can differentiate in the above picture. They do not overlap and a tiny space exists between them. The instrument is held at a relaxed manner, not in a firm manner. The index finger and the thumb curve outward from the handle in a C shape. The main function of these digits, that are the fingers, is to hold the instrument. Coming to the middle finger, on side of the finger pad rest lightly on the instrument's shank. The other side of the finger pad rests against the ring finger. It helps to guide the working end and also feels the vibration. Like you can see, whenever you place the ring finger and the middle finger together, it gives a sensation of vibration which we called as a tactile sensation. As per being a dentist, you must know that whenever you place your instruments in a periodontal therapy or any other diagnostic or periodontal therapy or a treatment therapy, you must come to know that placing your instrument and feeling everything inside the tooth can be done with your tactile sensation. So, ring fingertip enhances balances firmly on the tooth to support the weight of the hand and the instrument. The finger is held straight and upright and act as a strong support for the field. Little it should be held in a relaxed manner with no function. Coming to the finger rest. The finger rest serves to stabilize the hand and the instrument by providing a firm fulcrum as movements are made to activate the instruments. A good finger rest provides prevention from injury and laceration of the gingiva and the surrounding tissues. The ring finger is preferred by most clinicians for finger rest. Maximal control is achieved when the finger is kept between the instrument shank and the fourth finger. This build-up fulcrum is an integral part of the wrist forearm action that activates the most powerful working strokes for calculus removal. So the basic function of the finger rest is to provide the powerful working strokes and the calculus removal. So in the picture you can differentiate what is the finger rest. Whenever you are working, you can rest your finger properly with a proper position and in a relaxed manner so that there is a firm grip kept whenever you work in an operating field. Coming to the standard intraoral finger rest. So advantages are it provides most stable, secured support for the hand, provides leverage and power for instrumentation, provides excellent tactile transfer to the finger, promotes precise stroke control, allows forceful stroke pressure with at least amount of stress to the hand and the fingers, and decreases the likelihood of injury to the patient. Coming to the disadvantages, may not be practical for use of edentulous area and may be difficult to obtain parallelism of lower shank of the tooth surface for accessing the deep pockets. So whenever you go for a edentulous patient, obviously finger rests are not in any scene and it may be difficult to obtain parallelism of lower shank of the tooth surface for accessing deep pockets. Whenever you go for a deep scaling root planning therapy, finger rest is not of so use, but your exact finger position, instrument stabilization gives you a powerful stroke control to remove the heavy calculus. So coming to the intraoral finger rest, so modified intraoral fulcrum, it is achieved by combining an altered modified pen grasp with a standard intraoral fulcrum. It is useful while instrumenting the maxillary teeth. It alters the point of contact between the middle and the ring finger. Coming to the advantages, provides good stable support for the clinician support, provides leverage, strength and good stroke control, provides good tactile strength to clinician's finger, improves access to deep pockets or maxillary teeth, and facilitates parallelism of lower shank to proximal root surface. Disadvantage is it requires more muscle control. So different type of fulcrums are the middle finger rest on the top of the ring finger is called as the piggyback fulcrum, Advantages is that it improve access to the mandibular posterior aspects away from the clinician, and it enhances the whole hand working from together as a unit. As we know, whole hand working includes your forearm and the wrist together in working coordination, thus giving you a whole unit with a powerful stroke control. And disadvantage is it is limited use in mouth opening of the patient who are having very reduced mouth opening, because as the posterior aspect we see that the piggy bank fulcrum is used, hence with the patients who are having reduced mouth opening this procedure cannot be done. Cross arch fulcrum, it is accomplished by resting the ring finger on a tooth on the opposite side of the arch from the teeth being operated. Advantages are allows improved access to the lingual aspect of the mandibular posterior teeth. Disadvantage is it decreases the tactile sensitivity and makes a stroke difficult. As I have already discussed that the tactile sensitivity makes a powerful stroke in action. So cross fulcrum, you can see the finger rest is established on tooth surface on the other side of the same arch. So it is divided as conventional and opposite arch. In opposite arch you can see it is accomplished by resting the ring finger on the opposite arch. Advantages is it facilitates access to the deep pockets. Disadvantage is decreases the tactile sensation, and obviously the patient with TMJ problem or the limited mouth opening problem can face a difficulty which lacks tactile sensation. Coming to the finger on finger fulcrum, it is accomplished by resting the ring finger on the index finger. Advantages is provides stable rest to fulcrum, improves access to deep pockets. Disadvantages, non-dominant hand cannot be used for retraction or to hold the mirror. So this is the finger on finger fulcrum. As you can see that the ring finger and the index finger together are placed to provide a powerful stroke. But with the two hands to be equipped, you cannot use a mouth mirror for retraction. Retraction can be done with the finger itself. And right-handed clinician establishes finger rest on the index finger of non-dominant hand and index finger of non-dominant hand positioned in the mucobuccal fold resting against the attached gingiva, alveolar mucosa and the alveolar bone. Coming to the basic extraoral fulcrums, they are essential for effective instrumentation of some aspect of maxillary posterior teeth. So the knuckle rest technique or the palm up technique. Here the clinician rests his knuckles against the patient's chin. Like in this technique you can see that the patient's palm is seen up on the face of the patient. Chin up technique or palm down technique is hence the opposite of the palm up technique. The clinician cups the patient's chin with the palm of the hand. So this is the chin up technique. As you can see here that the patient chin and mandible are cupped with the palm of the clinician's hand. And in the first picture you can see palm up, and in the second picture you can see the palm down. Advantages are it facilitates instrumentation of the proximal root coverages surfaces of the maxillary molars. Disadvantage is it is least effective for all the fulcrums. Stroke control is more difficult and decreases the tactile information. Coming to the instrument activation. Now whenever you see that how do we use the powerful strokes in the periodontal therapy, so there are certain steps to be kept in mind. First is adaptation, that how you adapt your instrument to the tooth surface. Second is angulation, that at which angle you can give a powerful stroke of the instrument, that is your scaler. Third is the lateral pressure, that how much lateral pressure is provided to bring up the calculus or to break up the calculus buildup formed in your tooth. And strokes guide here, that the powerful strokes with the tactile information are to be kept together to form as a whole unit. So these are your strokes. Strokes should be very powerful. It should be just like a brush stroke, or which should give a powerful stroke for cleaning up the calculus and to shred away the calculus formation in your teeth. So coming to the strokes, there are basically 4 types of strokes known as the placement stroke, the exploratory stroke, the scaling stroke as we use in the scaling procedure, and the root planning stroke, which we generally use in the deep pocket scaling root planning therapy. So placement stroke, whenever you place an instrument over the tooth, that stroke is known as the placement stroke. That how do you place an instrument on the tooth and just see for the proper adaptation. Exploratory stroke, this stroke is generally used with your probe or the explorer as well, just to diagnose the tooth caries present in your tooth. So exploratory stroke is used to find the dental caries, pockets, deep pocket formation in your oral cavity. So coming to the placement stroke, you can see it is used to position the working end of an instrument apical to the calculus and at the base of the sulcus of the pocket. And coming to the assessment stroke, we can see it is used to evaluate the tooth surface, used with explorer to locate the calculus deposit, also known as the exploratory stroke, used to re-evaluate tooth surface after the calculus removal. Now, whenever you go for a scaling stroke, there is generally various type of strokes which comes into notice, that is your pull stroke, vertical stroke, oblique stroke, horizontal stroke, and circumferential stroke. Coming to the pull stroke, it is obviously through your depiction you can see it's a vertical or either oblique or a horizontal stroke. Just pull it out. With the adaptation of the instrument over the tooth surface, you will just have to pull it out over the tooth surface, thus helping you out to remove the firm calculus deposit inside your tooth surface. A vertical stroke, generally it is found in your facial aspect of the tooth, lingual aspect of the tooth, proximal surface of the anterior teeth, mesial surface, distal surface of the posterior teeth. Oblique stroke, it is a facial stroke, lingual stroke in anterior or posterior teeth, but in an oblique direction. Horizontal stroke, it is generally present horizontally at the line angles of the posterior teeth. Whenever horizontal strokes are given, it is generally given at the posterior aspect. Circumferential stroke, it is generally seen in the furcation area of the teeth. Generally teeth involving furcation. So coming to the adaptation. So what do you mean by adaptation? Adaptation refers to the manner in which the working end of a periodontal instrument is placed against the surface of a tooth. The object of adaptation is to make up the working end as an instrument. So thus precise adaptation must be maintained with all instruments to avoid trauma to the soft tissues and the root surfaces and to ensure maximum differences with effectiveness. Bladed instrument such as the curate and sharp point instrument such as the explorer are more difficult to adapt. So in this picture you can see, is this correctly adapted? Is the working end of the instrument is correctly adapted to the tooth surface? Or in this picture you can see which is correctly adapted, diagram A or diagram B? Obviously diagram A. In diagram A, you can see the working end of the instrument is being correctly adapted to the tooth surface, and then the pull stroke, push stroke, every strokes are given for the calculus removal. So in the B picture, it is wrongly adapted. This is not the way in which the instrument should be adapted. So correct adaptation is this in the following picture. As you can see, adapted properly with the facial surface of the tooth. Coming to the angulation. Why angulation is required? Angulation refers to the angle between the face of the instrument and the tooth surface. So, for insertion beneath the gingival margin, the face to the tooth surface angulation should be at an angle between the 0 degree and the 40 degrees. And for the calculus removal, angulation should be between 45 degrees and 90 degrees. The exact blade angle depends on the amount and nature of the calculus, okay, the procedure being performed and the condition of tissue during scaling and root planing. With angulation less than 45 degrees, then the cutting edge will slide and slice the calculus by smoothing and burnishing it. So whenever you do a scaling procedure, the angle between the tooth surface and the instrument for the calculus removal should be around between 45 degrees and 90 degrees. If it is less than 45 degrees, then just you will be burnishing or smoothing out the calculus, but it will not cut the calculus. It will just smooth the calculus. Then what is the use of calculus removal? So, during gingival curettage, I am talking about the gingival curettage procedure or the basic scaling procedure. It should be around 45 to 90 degrees. Gingival curettage greater than a 90 degree is established. Whenever there is a gingival curettage procedure, the degree for your instrument stabilization should be around more than 90 degrees. And for the basic scaling procedure, it should be around 45 degrees to 90 degrees. So here in the diagram you can see what is the blade angulation. As you can see here, the parallel line is showing the tooth and the instrument blade angulation is given. You can see here starting from 0 degrees to 90 degrees. At 0 to 40 degrees you can see angulation for insertion. Whenever you insert a scaler or a curettage or a curate, you can see it should be inserted at around 40 degrees. And for the angulation for calculus removal, it should be around 45 degrees to 90 degrees. That should be the ideal degree. And the ideal degree varies between the 60 degree to 90 degree. And more than 90 degree is established for your gingival curettage procedure. As you can see, more than 90 degree is used for the powerful strokes. So basically, whenever there is an adaptation of the instrument, it should be around 40 degrees. And whenever there is a scaling stroke, that should be around 45 to 90 degrees. And ideal stroke angulation is around 60 degrees to 90 degrees. And more than 90 degrees is used for gingival curettage. Okay. So coming to the, as you can see here, that in ultrasonic technique, basically I am talking about now ultrasonic technique, you can see that the angulation is around 0 to 15 degrees maximum in ultrasonic, not in a hand instrument. Okay. So here you can see for the angulation of a hand instrument, you can see 0 degrees, 45 to 90 degrees. Less than 45 degrees is not acceptable, as it will just smoothen out or burnish out the calculus formation. And more than 90 degrees is essential for your calculus removal. So in this picture you can differentiate what is the adaptation and angulation of instrument. As you can see, this is an instrument or a scaler or a curate, and you can see, draw a perpendicular line, and you can see what is the one phase is called the adaptation and the second phase is called the angulation. So adaptation and angulation works together. Okay, now coming to the cutting edges of an instrument. So whenever you look into an instrument microscopically, you can see the cutting edges. Now as you have seen in this following picture about a scaler showing your pointed end, and if you see this pointed end of the scaler or a curate microscopically, you can see a cutting edge. A cutting edge is a geometrical design of your instrument showing microscopically about what is the constituent of the scaler. Cutting edge, now you can see with the angle like 70 to 80 degrees, 70 to 80 degrees, 70 to 80 degrees, and landing between the 70 degree to 90 degrees ideally. Now coming to the lateral pressure. Lateral pressure refers to the pressure when force created against the tooth surface with the cutting edges of a bladed instrument. Exact amount of pressure depends upon the procedure to be performed. It may be firm, moderate or light when insufficient lateral pressure is applied. Rough ledges or lumps may be shaved to thin sheets of burnished calculus. So your lateral pressure is the amount of pressure which depends upon the procedure to be performed. Repeated application of excessively heavy strokes will nick or gouge the root surface. What do you mean by the nick and gouging of the root surface? Nicking means it will make a hole or porous holes on the root surface. The careful application of the varied control amount of lateral pressure during it is an integral part of effective scaling and root planning instrumentation. It contacts the tooth surface but no pressure is applied. So lateral pressure is the pressure created when the force is applied against the surface of a tooth with the cutting edge of a bladed instrument. The exact amount of pressure applied must be varied according to the nature of the calculus and according to the stroke to be intended. Okay, so you can see here the scaling stroke is different and the root planning stroke is different. As you can see, in the root planning we are going more precisely into the gingiva. Okay, so this is your picture showing what is scaling and root planning, how does the calculus affects your teeth, okay, and what are the certain procedure you have to do for a scaling with ultrasonic scaler or a hand scaler. Okay, so let us continue till this, and in the next class we will be continuing further. Till then, good day, have a nice day.